Ladies and gentlemen, you know that I started on the podcast with a little segment called The Most Erika Jayne Moment of the Week. And now my journey has come full circle because I am here with Erika Girardi herself talking Beverly Hills. Hi, Erika.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you and Tom doing in isolation? What have you guys been up to?
You know what? We've been spending a lot of time talking to each other at the dinner table, and it's actually kind of fun. I mean, we're actually getting along really well. So I've been gone for a while. So, hey,
Right. Making up for a little bit of lost time.
making up for, yes, absolutely.
How is Tiago enjoying all of the company with you guys at home? Is he just soaking up all the attention?
Yeah, Tiago's great. He's in a great place, and he's a great boy.
Have you been cooking? What is it that you've been up to that's like keeping you occupied right now?
Well, I have been cooking. I made some great homemade chicken soup, chicken and rice soup. I've been making homemade bolognese, and I've been watching the news a lot. I'm a news junkie, so I've been watching the
Hmm.
news a lot and just staying informed and getting ready to start this new Beverly Hills season 10.
Right. So, I mean, we're leading up to the season at this point. Are you in a group chat with the other ladies? Are you guys FaceTiming and chit-chatting about the upcoming season?
Well, we've been chit-chatting more so about everybody being at home close
Right.
to the season. I'm sure we'll get into that next week when we see it or when we get the episodes. Um, but we have mostly been checking on each other's families and how everyone is doing.
Of course, yeah. Who have you been in touch with the most? Do you guys have like a group chat going on, or are you kind of individually checking in with each other?
I decline that answer.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, thinking about every time we see you on the show, you're always dressed up to the nines. While you're stuck at home, are you maintaining that level of fashion, or are you kind of stuck in PJs like the rest of us?
Now I'm not stuck in PJs today.
Okay.
I did get up and like put on. I'm certainly not glammed out or anything like that, but I did get out of my PJs.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
I yeah.
Do you miss your glam squad?
I mean, listen, I'm not working, so I miss them as friends. I don't miss them in the sense that I need my hair and makeup done every day.
Right. Where is Mikey quarantined? Are you guys still in touch through this whole process?
Of course, Mikey and I have been friends for over a decade, and we talk every day.
Yeah. Now, getting into this season a little bit, when we first start off, we are in New York City for Fashion Week, and you kind of bring the girls around, showing them a bit of your former life. So, talk about those early days when you were in New York City and how it feels when you come back to the city to visit.
Well, it's interesting because I moved to New York when I was 18 years old, and I think that we cover one of the clubs that I used to go dance in when I was there.
Hmm.
And, it's almost a surreal moment to go back to something 30 years later. Obviously, I knew at that point I was going to Chicago, but no one else did.
Right.
So, there was always that in the back of my mind, how far I've come, look at life coming full circle. And I mean, I think that, every year you get to learn a little bit more about people and about the women and their lives and things that they've done. And this is just one of my small stories in the, book of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like a special connection with the city when you come back, or do you sort of look at it as like this is in my past?
Oh, God, no. I mean, I still feel the same way. Listen, it was the first city I ever moved to outside of my hometown. So
Hmm.
I grew up there, was married there, had my son there. So I love New York very much. A lot of big milestones in my life happened in New York City. So, of course,
Absolutely.
being there every time and then being there again for 4 months for Chicago, I mean, I know the city quite well. I mean, it
Right.
was my home for
Yeah.
years.
Now, there's a couple new faces this season. So you meet Sutton pretty early on, and you guys bond over being Southern. So what was your first impression when you met her?
Sutton has impeccable manners, and she's really a quintessential Southern lady. She's very well raised, and she's opinionated, and it's kind of fun. I mean, she's very Southern, and it's nice. It's nice to feel that.
Yeah. We see her at one point with Lisa Rinna, and she's in this like epic Dolce & Gabbana getup. We know that she loves herself some couture. So what do you think of Sutton's style?
I mean, listen, that's the great part about everybody is you get to express yourself however you want. You know, I think that I love it that someone else enjoys fashion and clothes and design. I think that's wonderful. But the
Yeah,
great part is that we're all free to be ourselves. However you interpret fashion is your own thing. You know, you put your own twist on it.
absolutely. Yeah. If you could trade closets with anyone else in the cast, who do you think it would be?
You know, the thing is, I haven't seen Sutton's Closet. So
Hmm.
my first inclination would be Dorit.
Yeah.
And then but as a backup, I'd like to see what Sutton has because I think she's got some things in there, but I wasn't able to see it.
Right, right. I feel like she probably has like multiple closets too. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I just haven't been to her house. I've been to her house, but I haven't seen her closets.
Right. Okay. Well, you have to put that on the to-do list at some point because we got to know what's in there. Um, Another new face that we meet this season is Garcelle, of course, and you two go out to lunch and have like a really great conversation. Did you feel a little bit more connected to her when you found out that she had a son close to your son's age?
Of course, you always do. It's like Kyle with Farrah. You know, you talk to
Yeah.
people who, whose kids are, long out of school, who are adult. You know, you're talking to people with adult children. Teddy has a newborn. You know, Dorit's got little kids, and Rinna's are, early 20s, but Amelia's still a teenager. And so, yeah, you're talking to someone with an adult child.
Right. And you hadn't met Garcelle before. That was you meet for the first time in New York, right? And then you end up going out to lunch together when you're back here.
That's right.
Okay. She loved your entrance too. You were wearing that big epic coat with like those jewels, and she was like, "That is how you make an entrance." So I think you left a pretty
Oh,
good
well,
first impression.
we were coming from the Jeremy Scott from Moschino fashion show. So of
Uh-huh.
course, I mean that's an over the top, show anyway. So that's how
Right.
you do it.
We also see in the first couple of episodes that Teddy sends out an invitation to this retreat. It's like a mass text. Everyone's in the loop. It's very much like, come if you want to, but I won't be offended if you don't. Don't even worry about it. So, what was your reaction when you got that invitation?
It's a trap. No, well, listen, I've come a long way in my relationship with Teddy, and I'm very proud of her business just absolutely flourishing, and that's wonderful. But listen, when you send out a text like that, it's open for interpretation, and everybody takes it differently, and everybody chooses, and sometimes there are consequences to those choices, even though it says that there isn't going to be. But you know how things are in groups, and
Right.
people get things, you know, confused.
Yeah. Well, I think there's even a moment where she and Rinna, I think, are in the car together, and Lisa's like, "Well, listen, Teddy, you got to be a little bit more direct. If you want people there, say you want them there. If you don't, say you don't." So I think there, was a little bit of room for interpretation there, which can be, like you said, a little risky in a group situation.
Yeah, because people then say, well, if I got up and I got up early and I went, then why didn't you when you weren't doing anything? And then it's like, did you want to come? Do you not want to come? How do you really feel about it? And it's open for all this interpretation.
Right, right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Chicago because obviously that is huge, and we were all so excited to hear about your part. So congratulations on that. Can you explain a little bit about the feeling that you had when you first got the part?
Well, look, I mean, overwhelmed, I think would be a great way to say it. I mean, what an opportunity in such an iconic show, the longest running American musical in history. And Roxy Hart has been played by some real legends and is an incredible part to have. Growing up in a Bob Fosse inspired studio, I mean, this was kind of like a huge thing. Not kind of, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Talk a little bit. I mean, you are a performer. What is it like being on a Broadway stage versus kind of when you take your show on the road in a tour?
Oh, it's completely different. I mean, look, is it two different things? You're talking about the Ambassador Theater, an iconic Broadway musical, everybody knows Chicago. Everyone knows Roxy Hart. So when you step out there, there's nothing like being on Broadway. There just isn't. I mean, you can perform anywhere else in the world. You can perform in arenas. You can do whatever you want. But there's something about going to the theater 7 days a week, 6 days a week, and giving going to the theater 6 days a week. That's right, because you have one day off, but you do 8 shows. So there's something about that. There's the chandelier that hangs. I mean, it's you crawl up the steps. It's your dressing room, and you're waiting in the wings. And I mean, there is nothing in the whole world like it. Every performer should have that incredible opportunity to really live in a show, on Broadway.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, we know that the ladies come and see your performance at one point this season, but outside of that, did you ever find out that there was maybe someone in the audience and then it made you like nervous to hit the stage? Because like you said, it's Broadway, so you never know who might be sitting out there.
Well, I was nervous when Janet Jackson was there.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. That would be a big one.
Yeah. Is that big enough for you?
Oh, that is pretty much the biggest for me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that moment like for you?
We share a mutual friend, so it was great, and I was just thrilled that she came. Alexander Wang was with her, and they're very nice people. She's lovely, and it's always she's there, and I mean, like everybody in the whole theater, all the entire cast was like, Janet's in the audience. I mean,
right.
If there's ever a night to sing and dance good, it's tonight. Okay.
Right. Of course. All right. Well, we are very much looking forward to the season. Thank you so much, Erika, for taking the time to talk with us today, and enjoy the rest of your time in quarantine.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You too. Take care. Be healthy.
Thanks, Erika.
Teddi, welcome to the podcast via this phone call.
Oh, thank you.
It's a new world we're living in.
I know. I feel like my life has been on Zooms and phone calls now, like managing between that and the kids. It's a little chaotic.
Can you ever have imagined you would be bringing a baby into this world like this?
I am so grateful that I had her when I did, because had it been like 2 weeks later, then I may have been alone giving birth. So I am really grateful that we were still in the place where like Edwin could come into the hospital with me.
Right. And I think it is nice that you do get all of this family time together and bonding with the baby, even though I imagine it must be stressful too.
I what I've learned is like it's ebbing and flowing. Like some days it's great and everything is feeling so fun and organic and we're loving it. And some days we are stressed. We're both working and, the kids are in remote learning, and it really is a lot. I'm appreciative that, we have all the things that we do. I mean, I know that there are some kids that don't have Wi-Fi and can't do the remote learning. So it's like I keep reminding myself I need to continue being grateful when I want to get like snappy or stressed because I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Totally. Well, who is adjusting better to the baby, Cruz or Slate?
Probably Slate. She's like, can I feed her? Can I burp her? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I change her? And if I say no, and she's like, Mom, she's our baby.
Oh.
Cruz, yeah, and Cruz really just wants to be the baby. Like, he's like, Mom, you sleep in the room. And I'm like, Cruz, you sleep in the room, then you wake up when she wakes up. And he's like, Mom, please. So it's like, half the time I'm like, Ed, can you just go sleep with Cruz, because I cannot deal with him trying to come in the room and then he wakes up stuff. Like, I mean, we're getting by around here.
Yeah. So which did you find out first, that you were pregnant or that you were coming back as a Real Housewife?
I found out that I was coming back as a Real Housewife first. And then
yeah.
I had been, you talk to like your bosses or whatever, and I had said like, Edwin and I are in a predicament because I'm really wanting to start doing IVF again, and he do it. He wants to have another baby, but he doesn't want me to have to go through all that again. And I remember having that conversation, like a little while back, a while back, and then all of a sudden I find out that I'm pregnant. I'm like, what? Because I didn't know until I was like 9 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, we went on 2 vacations. Like, before we start filming, we are like, do all these things because, we're homebound, and then I take girls trips. So I was like, okay, it was definitely a big shock.
Wow. So was there any part of you that was like, I don't know if I should be doing this pregnant?
I think at first I was like, how am I going to be pregnant? Like, how? Like, sometimes, like, I need those 2 skinny margs. It actually made me, like, very present. I was very in the moment because it's not like you can be on your phone. So, like, I was really listening to what people were saying, and I feel like I was able to really, see both sides sometimes, but also have, it's like I was 100% coherent for all of it.
That's great. I know some of the early on drama comes because of this health wellness retreat that you're doing with All In. Was sort of the way that you went about inviting the ladies, was it influenced by what had happened 2 seasons ago with your San Diego beach house trip?
Of course. I was like, here's the deal. But also, I don't like to feel like somebody feels like they have to do something. And to me, it's key to always be like, I'm throwing it out there, but truthfully, this isn't about you. So if you want to come and you want to, because most of them have repeatedly been like, I want to understand what you do. I'm so curious. I love this idea. They're constantly asking, but sometimes people just say those things because they're being nice. And I don't want people to feel like they have to do something. Like, I am good. I'm doing. You're not going to be the priority. But if you want to come and enjoy it, come. If you don't. Like, truthfully, I would not have gotten upset if somebody couldn't come. So I really thought I was doing the right thing. I mean, but apparently I didn't on their standards, but
I know. Sutton seemed very miffed by it all. And Lisa Rinna also, I thought, had sort of an interesting reaction. Like, I couldn't tell if she was upset or if she just sort of wanted to stir the pot a little like she does sometimes.
I think she was almost trying to. She told me about it in the car. But I think the problem is, this is like my business and something I really am passionate about and that I really cared about and that, like, my clients were or the people that coming to the retreat, they're such a priority to me. And the fact that there could be somebody possibly wanting to start drama with me there was like causing me anxiety, and I think that it just like totally as things do, got blown out of proportion. And it was definitely, it's one of those things, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. What was your first impressions of Sutton and Garcelle?
Garcelle was so much fun and really made me laugh, and a big personality. And I could tell Sutton that maybe she spent too much time on Twitter last season and read too much on everybody. And
ooh.
I was like, oh, I see why she's been getting her research from some trolls. But yeah, it was a little rougher start for Sutton and I.
What made you say that, though, about Sutton? Was it the fact that she made the boring comment, or was it something else that made your ears perk, where you're like, okay, this person's been doing some online sleuthing?
Coming back and everything like that. So, there was the same people that got mad at me last year said the same thing, oh no, she's boring, she's, and she's pregnant, even worse. And I was like, and then when she said that, I was like, oh, she's taking this directly off of Twitter. Because
ooh, yeah.
She and I had never really spent much time that I was boring or not. Plus, I'm like, even if people are taking to say that I am boring, they're taking the time to go do it. So I must be doing something right, getting underneath their skin in some capacity. But to me, the part that like really hurt my feelings is like, even worse, you're pregnant, because like, one, I was hormonal, and two, like, she didn't know my backstory of like how hard it was for me to get pregnant with Slayton Cruz, and the fact that I like was able to get pregnant naturally was like such a huge thing for us. And like, I was so happy, and for her to almost use that against me, I was like, you know what, go F yourself.
Not a
like,
great start for you too.
Yeah, like the boring stuff I can deal with. Like, okay, you get your material off of, you know, from Twitter trolls, but the, you know, even worse, you're pregnant, or whatever the quote was, I was like, you know what? Now, after seeing the first episode where she said she kept her kids chained up, crying it out, I was like, well, I can see why, maybe.
Right. I have to wonder if you guys made any sort of pact at the beginning of this season not to talk about Lisa Vanderpump.
I definitely don't have, like, we didn't have any conversation about that, but I think what happened truthfully is like everybody felt a little bit lighter and started kind of opening up more. I felt my friendships really shift this year, and like I start to get to really know everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like a lot of the time people were more surface because they felt like they had to have their guard up.
Well, we don't really know exactly what unfolds with Denise this season. You know, we get a very strong hint at the end of the premiere episode, which was just insane to watch. But was it, having been through it, was it similar to how Lisa Vanderpump made her exit from the group, or is it wildly different? I'm just so curious.
I mean, the way that Lisa Vanderpump did it was, you know, she never had like a group conversation. You know, she, you know, printed out some text messages and then had a one-on-one conversation. Then I saw her at Denise's wedding, and we were able to coexist. And then I never saw her again. So that was different. I think that, you know, Denise flees multiple times, essentially any time that she doesn't. Denise is fine with drama when it involves somebody else, but if it involves her, she flees.
Did you get that sense last season, or is this brand new information?
I think the problem is when you care about you than what your actual friend group thinks of you, it's not going to end well. Because it starts coming unhinged. Like, yeah, it works at first, but then all of a sudden you start to see some true colors from somebody, and then they're trying to mask it, and then it just, you know, totally snowballs. Because, you know, what you see play out in the press and what, you know, I think a lot of that is what she wants you to see, or, you know, so the audience will have a perception before going into the season. But that really wasn't the bulk of the issue.
Wow. Well, it was interesting to show her saying sort of a safe word, bravo, 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 thinking they wouldn't use it. Have you ever been in a situation where you've called out the safe word, basically?
One, there's no safe word. Like, and she did that multiple times this year. And
wow.
Every single time she did it, I was like, who told her this? Like, and honestly, like, it's so obnoxious. Like, you're screaming, like, there was one point we were at a dinner and she's like, blah, 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 like a crazy person. And I'm like, you know what you signed up for. Like,
yeah.
Are you serious? And like, it really puts you in a weird situation because you're trying now again to control what people are seeing. And we're having a conversation here. And it gets hot for me. You know, all of us have been in the hot seat at one point or another. And within this group, there are some times where you're going to say something about somebody and feel differently, you know, 2 weeks later. And that's life. It's what happens. Anybody that says they've never felt a certain way about somebody and then it shifted is probably lying anyway. But I think, you know, just trying to control the narrative, and that's just one of the ways she tried to do it. And I've never seen anybody else in our group do that.
Yeah. Are you in contact with her today?
We all were on just one text message just about donating the mask, that Kyle talked about on Watch What Happens Live. She sent us all a text wanting to donate, and everybody responded yes, of course. But that's the only contact we've had.
Got it. I know that last season you deeply regretted seeing yourself so drunk on the Provence trip, which I'm actually sad we're not going to get another moment like that this season. But with that in mind, go ahead.
You know what? When I saw it back, I wasn't as I built it up, and when you have those moments, think about when you have a crazy night and you go out and you can't. You make it out to be so much worse in your head. So what? Okay, I was a little bit dramatic and caused a little bit of drama and then tried to eat some chips. Who cares?
Oh, I know.
I was like, that was not that bad. And honestly, it was probably the most love I got all season.
Because it's so relatable and it was so funny.
I wouldn't mind having another one of those nights. But
is there anything you filmed this season then that you went to production or what happened? Or what did I do? I obviously you would be aware because, no drinking.
No, you're aware. I mean, I think, how Lisa Vanderpump says that I spill the biggest tea or whatever. I don't remember what phrasing she used, but of the season, there are moments where that causes anxiety because I know what happens next, but I also know that when I decided to do this, I said, I'm going to be myself, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that's how it goes. So
it's really fun to watch you and Kyle and Mauricio and Edwin together. And one of my coworkers and I were talking about how it's interesting in this season. I've only watched a few episodes in, but it's there have been already a mention, 2 or 3 mentions about how Mauricio likes to smoke weed and get high. And you see it a little bit. Is he just the life of the party when you guys hang out?
He is so funny, and Kyle's so funny, and Ed, I think all of us just want to have a good time, and we're used to hanging out with one another, and Mauricio always makes us laugh, and he can take a joke and not take himself too seriously, and I think that is so huge. He knows how to lighten the mood, and I just think I'm so grateful to that, and I think that's shown.
Yeah. Just to wrap it up, I wanted to ask, because of your expertise in the fitness world, and I know that now people have all this unexpected time to work out, but they're also at the same time feeling probably the least motivated they ever have, just considering everything that's happening. What do you sort of do to motivate yourself in these times?
I say this kind of over and over again because it's truly the only way that resonates with me is I'm not motivated. I'm not a motivated person. I'm committed. And once I commit to something, I'm not going to waver. So there are days that somebody's going to say something to motivate me, or I'm going to love this quote or whatever it may be, or I just wake up pep in my step. But the big thing is I've made a commitment. And I schedule myself into every single day, and I know what makes me feel best, and I know what makes me feel worse, and I'm committed to feeling my best to the best of my capability. Sometimes it's not going to work out, and I'll still have anxiety or still feel lethargic after a workout or whatever it may be, but I have to take action to feel my best, and I have to commit to it, or I know I'm going to feel my worst.
This franchise is my favorite. I always say that. So I'm just so excited to see the rest of the season. Welcome to the podcast, Garcelle.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I am as good as can be under these crazy times of ours.
I know. So are you at home with your sons?
Yep. I'm home with Jax and Jade, and I'm doing I'm doing way too much cooking and way too much cleaning than I care to.
It's like, what else are you supposed to do in these times?
No kidding. And I realized how much my kids eat. They would never survive on like Survivor because they need so many snacks in between meals. I'm like, oh my God.
Especially growing boys. I feel like that's just a whole other type of hunger.
100%. I'm cooking like lasagnas and baked chicken, like things that are hearty to keep them full longer.
Did you ever think that this is how you would be making your debut as a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills?
No, not at all. I wanted to come out and with a big splash. We've been pulling dresses and outfits and all these things, but you know what? You got to go with what's happening, right?
Yes. What did you know about Real Housewives before joining?
Well, I was a fan of the show. I watched Beverly Hills and I watched Atlanta because I have friends on Atlanta. And, you know, just what I saw, I thought it was fabulous. I thought it was fun. I thought there was a lot of drama. And it's exactly that.
Amazing. You know, your ex-husband as an agent, was he supportive of you doing the show? Because I know that one thing that's come up with Lisa Rinna and Eileen Davidson is that it is nerve-wracking for an actress to come onto a reality TV show. And so I wonder if he was supportive of the decision or thought it was like a bad career move.
Yeah, no, actually, he was, you know, obviously surprised that I wanted to do it. But then we talked about it at length. And I think the boys are at an age now where, you know, they're 12, that we felt like it was okay. And I wouldn't have done it if Mike wasn't on board or if the boys thought it wasn't a great idea. The boys were excited because their friends and their friends' moms were excited, right?
Yeah.
And then they thought, are we going to be famous? And then Jax was like, are we getting paid? I'm only in it for the money. And I'm like, this kid. So it was definitely a family decision. And I had to explain to them that, you know, cameras were going to be in the house and there were going to be people around and they're going to get to see us, you know, the way we are everyday life. And so it was something we definitely had to talk about. And, you know, Mike is supportive of me, and you know, we're in a good place. We're in a really good place. We worked really hard to get there because obviously the divorce wasn't great and it became so public. But I think, you know, in not only talking about the divorce and having to go back there, I think it also will help people see that we did get past it. You know, especially for the boys' sake. And, you know, the bottom line is we're family no matter what. So I think in that sense, people will get to see that too as, you know, the show develops.
Well, it's interesting to see so many celebrity couples who are sort of quarantining with their exes. Like I know Demi Moore and Bruce Willis are, and then even Ramona Singer and her ex-husband. Are you guys in the same house right now?
Hell no. No. Okay, there's got to be lines somewhere.
Right.
No, that's not the case. But he is, you know, the only consistent thing that we've done from our pre-quarantine to now is that the boys still go do 1 week with me and 1 week with him because, you know, we feel like that we can control because it's either they're with me or they're with him. So we've been able to do that. But when we're doing the drop-offs, he'll stay and we'll have either wine or we'll have, you know, tea and we'll talk. And so we were able to do that. But prior to coronavirus, we had planned a trip to go to Tokyo together in July, and the four of us were going to go because my son Jax is obsessed with anything Japanese. He's teaching himself how to speak Japanese.
Wow.
He's obsessed. So we had planned on a family trip, which would be, oh my God, I don't know. And I said to him, we'll have to go to therapy before we go on a trip together. And then I told one of the producers of Housewives, and he's like, oh my God, we have to film that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure you want to.
Yes. Are we going to see him on the show?
Oh, yeah. Mike is definitely on the show because anybody who's in my life is in my life has to be seen. So Mike is on the show, and obviously my boys, and the guy that I was dating is on the show. So you'll see a little bit of everything. You'll see my everyday life. You'll see me dating. You'll see, me co-parenting with Mike and my life.
Wow. I know that you sort of got introduced to the group via Denise, and I know that you and Lisa Rinna knew each other, but was there anyone that you felt like you instantly connected with?
Erika, 100%.
Yeah.
I loved her, and I was always a fan of her on the show. I mean, she's so glamorous, she's such a, diva. And I thought we would hit it off because I feel like we're similar in the terms of, like, we say how we feel and we keep it moving. We're not, harping on stuff. So I was happy to see that she's exactly who I thought she was. So that was really cool. And then we realized that, we both have older sons. So that was a good connection. Single mom, and she met Tom, which I thought, as a single mom, when you date someone or you marry someone, it's a big deal that your person, welcomes your kids. And I think that's why she fell in love with Tom, because, he embraced her and her son. So we had that in common. And then when I told her, she was the first person I told that I was becoming a grandmother to. And she was like, oh my God, that could happen to me too. So it was another thing that we connected on. So it was really cool. I like her a lot.
That was one of my favorite moments of the show, actually, so far. Just the look on her face when she realized, oh my God, this could happen to me too. I think
exactly.
But it was also very sweet. And I know that your grandson has been born, Oliver Jr. So how is he?
Mm-hmm.
What is grandma life like? What are you going by?
He's so cute and so sweet. And with social distancing, I can't get to see him and hold him. And so that's been really tough. I mean, the boys and I flew to go visit them and got to meet Ollie. And I can't wait till quarantine has been lifted and I can go back and see him and hold him and just be a part of his life. It's amazing to see, like, sort of the next generation,
Yeah. Have you decided on what your grandma name is?
It's so funny that everybody says that. I actually like grandma. I think it's, it's your legacy. I think it's a badge of honor. I don't have a stigma. Like, I don't want to be Gigi or anything like that. I think grandma's fine by me.
Cute. I love that.
I'll still be wearing my tutus and my, whatever. I'll still be
my gosh,
grandma.
So as someone who has such a extensive acting history, I wanted to know, who do you think, after doing your first season, is doing the most acting in this group?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I would have to say Rita.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
That's a good answer.
She is a pot stirrer like nobody I've ever seen before. I feel like, in a way, I didn't know this side of her, even though I've known her for so long.
Yeah, I mean, well, even at the dinner party at Kyle's house early on, it's her idea that people go around and give their first impressions of everyone, which is just a recipe for disaster.
Exactly, with the person being right there. And I was really sort of taken back by Kyle going, I didn't realize you were as fabulous as you are. Like, what's that supposed to mean?
Right. I also want to know, because I just watched that episode, and when Denise's husband, Aaron, is trying to give the explanation of his business, the look on everyone's face is just, it's how I feel listening to him.
It felt like it went on and on and on and on and on. It was just so, I don't know what it was, if it was the tone of his delivery or if it was just boring. I don't know. But we were all kind of like, it just seemed like to me that it went on forever.
I know you can't say as much as maybe I want you to say, but obviously, aside from everyone being excited you're on the show, the thing that everyone is talking about right now is Denise Richards and what's going to happen with her this season. And I have to wonder, because if she brought you into this group, did you feel a sort of allegiance or a need to be protective of her during all the drama, or has your opinion on her completely changed?
I think my allegiance to her is just our friendship over the years. And, she's always been there for me. I've always been there for her. We've commiserated over divorces and, co-parenting and all that stuff. So my allegiance to her is out of loyalty and friendship. That's important to me. But yeah, I mean, it was hard sometimes to watch. It was hard sometimes that I wanted to shake her sometimes and go, stand up for yourself, or don't run away, or don't walk away. Like, own it, or I don't want to say own it. I don't want to say own it. But, I still don't know the whole truth, but I'm going to always, have my friends back.
Are you guys still talking right now?
Yeah, we spoke the other day, and she's doing great. Thank God her family's good, and it's just, navigating kids under quarantine.
Right.
And we're both nervous. I'm nervous about, the season, premiering because it's new to me. I'm nervous about trolls. I'm nervous about, sort of exposing myself. And I think for her, she's nervous about, what it's going to look like for her and, and what people are going to say, or how people are going to perceive her. So we're kind of in the same boat when it comes to that.
Yeah. Because Sutton is also new to the group this season, did you two have a special bond, or, no. What were your thoughts? No.
No. We didn't have a special bond. Not at first. I think she's fun. I think she's kooky. I think we got to know each other, somewhere in the season. But at first I just thought, she's just, a rich lady who never worked in 17 years. And I couldn't wrap my head around that because, I've worked since I was 17 years old and, I've never stopped. So that to me was a little foreign. And she thought I asked too many questions, personal questions. But I'm like, if that's, that's how you get to know people. So, but towards the end, I definitely like her. And she's so generous and thoughtful and kind. And that's what I came out of the season getting from her.
Yeah. She seems, especially in the very first episodes, to be, she's very happy to let everyone know that what she's wearing is couture and expensive. And I have to imagine that in Beverly Hills, there's a lot of that. Do you think
there's a lot of that. I'm not one of those.
Yeah. You're just fabulous without talking about it.
Thank you. I'm a label person. Do I like nice things? Yes, but not everything has to be a label to me, and a label doesn't say who you are, so that's just me. So sometimes that can be off-putting when people are all about labels, but I think for her, that's all she knows, I think her life has been so, she's at every front row of every couture show because, she buys, So for me, I go because, I'm a celebrity, but yet I do love fashion, fashion I love. But it can be from Zara to Gucci. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
So it was interesting to see her. And when we went to New York, everybody was at the hotel. And she happened to have an apartment on, Park Avenue. So it was sort of like, the extreme of extremes. And but I think overall she handles it well. I think she found the balance to it.
Right. Well, and she and I feel Teddi couldn't be more opposite, which might have led to some of their tension. Who did you
100%.
sort of, like, how did you feel about that situation?
Well, I thought when she called her boring, it's like, you don't even know her. And I thought boring was such a, I don't know, it was for a lack of trying. There's other words you could use. So I thought her calling Teddi boring was not warranted just yet. because she really hadn't spent that much time with her. And, Teddi reacting the way she did, one, she's, hormonal because she's pregnant. And was surprising to me that tears came out so quickly.
Yeah. I always ask this when I'm interviewing housewives, but are you all on a group text chat together?
We are. We are for, we recently did, some stuff for charity, especially during the quarantine. So we text back and forth about that. We talk about all kinds of things or just saying hello. And Sutton is really great about initiating it, which is great. She'll reach out and then that'll get everybody going.
Is there a name to the chat?
Yeah, Housewives.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Housewives. Yeah.
I mean, even though you haven't watched this whole season back, having lived through it, do you feel like you had a good season?
Yeah, I think I had a good season. I think, for me, I mean, I was, shooting Coming to America in Atlanta and shooting Tell Me a Story in Nashville. And so some of it I missed out on. But I think I had a good season. I think I let people know who I am. And I think that's really what you want to do on the first season is sort of like be introduced and let people see your life and things like that. And then, we'll see what happens at the reunion. That's where I'm really nervous.
Oh, do you think you'll be in the hot seat at all?
I'm sure I will be. I'm sure I will be by then. I'm certain of it. So we will see, but I'm ready for them. Like I say in the in the promos, bring it.
Right. Well, my last question is just, is there anything that you are nervous for viewers to watch that you filmed?
Not nervous that I filmed, but I think in terms of like, reliving what happened in my marriage is really, hard for me because I definitely don't want it to be where, it hurts my family in any way. So that makes me nervous because I really have a great relationship with my ex-in-laws and obviously with Mike, and I don't want my kids to come out because they didn't live it. They were 3 years old. So that's what I'm really nervous about. But other than that, I think people get to see me authentically,